What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. FantasyTeamAdvisors.com, bringing home the bacon. NBA DFS video. You've got it. It's Thursday. It's March 21st. And we are back with, hopefully, a very informative video for you. If you've never been here before, hopefully you're in for a treat. If you've been here before, you know what that treat is. It is everything and anything that you need for this NBA slate. So what we do, it's probably a little bit different than what you're used to. So we're going to go through the games. We're going to look at the players. So we're going to kind of get a feel for the players that make sense. Obviously, the high-scoring guys, the high-priced guys, the lower, not bottom of the totem pole players, but lower-priced guys that might be a good value option. So we're going to go through those. We're going to look at each and every game. We have 6 games on this slate. And then what we're going to do is we're going to build a lineup using one of the tools from FantasyTeamAdvisors.com. So that tool is the NBA points allowed by position tool. So we can kind of see how to build like a tournament lineup here on DraftKings. If you like that kind of content and it's helpful for you, let me know. Liking the video and leaving a comment for the algorithm definitely helps us out. We have all of our content in the description of this video. So we've got the Discord channel that I would love for you guys to join. I want it to be a pop-in place, especially for start of baseball season, because that's our favorite sport. We've partnered up with DFS Hero. The link is down below. If you use our link, you will get 15% off your first order. If you sign up for a month pass there and you go through the trial run and you go and pay for the month, we will give you 1 month of FTA Plus. If you do the yearly pass with them, we will give you a year of FTA Plus as well. So that being said, we have 2 giveaways every single day, or we attempt to have 2 giveaways every single day. First giveaway, like the video, be a subscriber, and leave a comment so the comment picker can pick you up. 50 likes on the video equals someone will win a free week of DFS content. 100 likes on the video, someone will win a free month. 125 likes, a free year. And 150 or more likes, someone will win a $500 lifetime pass, brought to you by FantasyTeamAdvisors.com. The second way you can win, every single day you can win twice, except if it's a lifetime pass. Like the video, be a subscriber, and leave a comment telling me who you think is going to score the most amount of DraftKings fantasy points and how many DraftKings fantasy points will they score, do you think? So I need DK fantasy points you think they will score. Not points in real life, DraftKings fantasy points. So if you get it closest without going over, Price is Right rules, you will have a chance to win you will win a free week of content. If you get it exactly correct, which we have not had yet, been very close, you will win a yearly pass. And I want to make multiple people winners, so let's get going. At the end of the video, we will have the link to our baseball video for today. It depends on when you watch this video, because that baseball is a very early slate. And on top of that, we will have the ESPN bracket. So we are doing a contest, March Madness bracket. The link will be in the description of this video. The password is FTAFTW, all one word, all lowercase. Get in there. We currently, at the moment, I think have 10 in there. 3 places are going to pay. First place will win a free year of FTA Plus. Second place, a free month. Third place, a free week of DFS content and sports betting. So on top of that, if I win, then it'll only be second and third. So you got to beat me. So that being said, we have 6 games on the slate. We are looking at them. Now, some of these might be on a back-to-back. Some of these might be in a funk, or we'll kind of look at this. So Luka, this is one we were like, we didn't know what was going on. Let us down the other day. Let us down. He still got 60 fantasy points, but not enough to pay for his price. So what I say is, when you're looking to build a lineup, cash lineups, you are definitely looking for about 7.5 times value. So you would need, like, for instance, let's go all Sabonis here. So we got Sabonis at 11,000. Well, that's that. No, that's wrong. So what you need is 7.5 times value for the bare minimum. So that is your floor for cash. Basically, it's kind of right around 8 times value for every single player. You're not going to get those for every single player, but that's the baseline for what you're looking for. So he would, in theory, need to get 82.5 to pay off his price tag here. While that's not like outside of his realm, it's not going to be normal when he is averaging 53.7. But like, we look at this game, Washington gives up a ton of fantasy points to opposing teams on every side of the ball. Every single position seems to score a ton. And we will look at that at the end when we go through the NBA points allowed by position to build that lineup. So excuse me. Sabonis makes sense. De'Aaron Fox makes sense. We still are questionable with Kuzma, Adija, Jones, Bagley. These are all questionable tags right now. If those guys are out, then more value will open up. And speaking of value, in the description of this video is today's article. In that article, at each position, we have 3 top, 3 mid, and 3 value plays, including the DVP that they are, and including the fantasy point projection we have for them. So early on in the day, those are projections. Things will change throughout the day when all these questionable tags go away. Either they're out or they're in, which will open up value or not open up value at certain positions. So definitely check our Discord about an hour, 2 hours before tip-off, and then check out our projections with FTA Plus about the same amount of time for any updates that need to be made. So if we move down here, Malik Monk against Washington, I absolutely love Malik Monk here. Makes a lot of sense to be using him, especially at that price of 6,600. Obviously, I would wish it would be a little bit lower, but that's what we get. Go down a little bit lower. Keegan Murray, I don't mind. Depending on who is out for Washington, Corey Kispert, I would enjoy very much at 5,200. Raquan Holmes at 5,100, depending what we've got out of him. Champagne is what we call him, Mr. Champagne. We used him back-to-back games. His price has gone up steadily. He still hit 30-plus points. So I don't know if he's going to be in there. A lot of these questionable guys will need to be listed out very, very soon. But Mr. Champagne, I love Harrison Barnes a little bit on the tournament side. I don't mind kind of getting a little bit of exposure to him. Again, you don't have to get exposure to every single game. Depending on what the Vegas numbers look like, this could be a blowout and be scared about that a little bit. But another one would be Jared Butler. I don't mind him. We used him 2 nights ago, 36.25, exactly what we needed out of him at 3,700, almost 10 times value. That is what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is in theory, you want 7.5 times value out of every single player in that lineup. You're probably not going to get that from every single player. It's almost impossible. Not impossible, but pretty damn close to being impossible. And what we're kind of looking at there is when you can't get that many, like, out of every single one, you need those lower price guys at like a Jared Butler who was 3,700, who got 10 times value, which will open up other value and be able to pay up for those other positions. So Jared Butler, while his price has gone up, he's coming off a really good game against Houston. This is definitely something I would look at, especially if Washington's playing from behind. That's probably it. Another one would be Keon Ellis. We had him as a value pick on Wednesday. I'm going to go back to the well with him, especially in this. If they go up big and Washington's playing from behind, Sacramento being up so big, they might sit De'Aaron Fox. They might sit Sabonis. Keon Ellis could be in store for a increased role if they get up big on this very, very bad Washington team. So that's basically that game. I wouldn't go any lower as of now unless something pops up with like Duarte or something. But as of now, probably the lowest I would go in this game would be Keon Ellis for sure. So moving on to New Orleans versus Orlando. I mean, Banchero, Williamson, Ingram, Wagner. Like, all these guys. You know that they are good for it, that they are higher priced. Not as high priced as other teams. Obviously, 8,800 is the most. But what value plays are we looking for out of these other guys lower. So we would be looking at a Larry Nance Jr. at 4,500. Jonathan Isaac, we used him 2 nights ago as one of our plays. Let us down at 14.5. They have brought his price down to 3,900. So again, this is one where if you can get him to go off for, you pay down at 3,900, you get him to go off for 20 fantasy points. It's about 5 times value. And then, we're able to pay up for a Sabonis, or we're able to pay up for possibly Luka in that situation. So that's another cheap option I would look at. Coming down here, Alvarado, we used him the other day, 10.25. He did let us down, 3,400. It just will depend on how the game's going to go and if they are in a good spot for him. Probably only tournament option for me for Alvarado. And again, this would be one if you make like 20 plus lineups a day, got to get a little bit creative here. Not a ton of plays that I like in this one at the moment. Robinson Earl being a value option, which we talked about 2 nights ago. 3,000 went up for 23.25, played 21 minutes. Again, that was a jump. As long as Valanciunas, Larry Nance, and Cody Zeller are in, we're probably not seeing a ton out of him. But if he gets a little bit of run there, again, that was an outlier, 21 minutes. Don't expect that all the time. But that's kind of 3,300 for a center, or just 3,300 for anybody would be a huge boost to be able to pay up at other positions if that's what we're looking for. So again, Robinson Earl, not my favorite value pick, but is definitely one that we could take advantage of if some players are out for them. And that's probably as low as I would go there. And that's going to be maybe 5% owned. I don't want a ton there. I'd rather pay up for the other guys in this game. Brooklyn versus Milwaukee. Antetokounmpo was out Wednesday. Whether or not he's going to be out again due to maybe it being a second game of a back-to-back, that's something we just don't know right now. So that is where I'm looking at. If he is out, that would obviously boost up Lillard a ton, Middleton a ton, Brook Lopez, Malik Beasley. That would boost all of them up. But again, it might be one of those we're gonna keep him out on the first game of a back-to-back and play him on the second game. So again, if he plays, he's obviously in a good spot. It just will be dependent on if he's the one that's actually going to play. But if Giannis is out, opens up a ton of value. We come down here. I wouldn't mind Pat Bev. I would not mind Pat Bev at all at 4,600. Hasn't done much lately, but we did use him back here at 30. His price has gone up. We did use him back on March 4th when he got 10 times value. So if Giannis is out, we could be looking at maybe Pat Bev a little bit. I just don't know if he's going to be out a second game here. Coming down here, I don't mind Dennis Smith Jr. I don't mind Lonnie Walker. Brooklyn will probably most likely be playing from behind, and then we could look at some other plays there. But yeah, if Antetokounmpo is out again, Lillard is one of my favorite plays on the slate here. Chicago, Houston, Vucevic, we know what we're going to get out of him. DeRozan, Kobe White being questionable, Caruso being questionable. He was questionable the other day. Did he play? He did play Monday, was able to return, finish the game, wasn't able to practice Wednesday. So this is something to monitor. I don't 100% know, but if he is in, I don't know if I want to pay $6,100 for Caruso with a bummed ankle. So that is something that might deter me away. So if we're deterred by him, we got to find who's going to be replacing him. Could be looking, not a ton, just kind of looking at Caruso being shooting guard, small forward. I don't know what we're looking at in regards to who might be the backup there. But again, I don't feel comfortable playing or paying up that much at $6,100 if it is an ankle. So I would drop down. If Caruso's out, I think that bumps up Andre Drummond a lot, especially at 4,700. So definitely would be one I'd look at. Torrey Craig could be another one. He's been getting some run lately. Minutes have been there. They've gone up. Not the best here at 16.5, but they did drop him down to 3,800. So they've dropped him down a little bit, which is definitely something we could take advantage of with his price. So I'm okay with that. That's probably it. The lowest I would go in this game would be Torrey Craig. But yeah, I would still look at Vucevic, DeRozan, Jalen Green, Brett, FVV, Dosunmu, Thompson, like these guys. But some value would be Landale, Andre Drummond, Dylan Brooks, Torrey Craig is where I would look at the value in this game here. Then we got Utah versus Dallas. Utah loves to give up a ton of fantasy points. I mean a ton of fantasy points. They're always usually a high-scoring game, high-paced game, tons of fantasy points to be had. Luka is in a monster spot here. But we look at this. He just played San Antonio, who he was in a good spot with. Only 18 real points, 60 fantasy points, played 40 minutes in that game. So as long as he's healthy, he's playing. It was a down game, so we will definitely look at the fantasy points allowed by position and kind of go from there. But love me some Luka. I don't know about Kyrie as much. Colin Sexton, I love me some Colin Sexton. Love me some Keontae George. Go down a little bit. Gafford, PJ Washington, Taylor Hendricks, these guys at this price. And then if we go down a little bit more, Talon Horton Tucker for tournaments, Dante Exum, Derek Lively. I'm okay with those guys. I don't trust them a lot, but I'm okay at tournament-wise. And that's probably as low as I would go. I know Luke Samanik, the minutes, they haven't been bad. His price has dropped from $4,000 to $3,200. That might entice me a little bit. Kind of looking at this, you're looking at, 15, 20 minutes, maybe, especially if they're playing from behind. Luka here could have everyone's going to be on the other Luka, and we could save a lot of money at $3,200, especially at this price. This is another value option that I think you want to look at a little bit. At least get him in your player pool if you're trying to build a lineup to feel good about. But yeah, even if he gets 17.75 fantasy points, I don't mind that, especially at that price. We were using him for a little bit. I mean, he had a good game, played 18 minutes against Minnesota. Had a really good game. So as you can see, when he's gotten more than 4 minutes, he scored 20 plus points. He could be another one that could be a huge value option if you look at them. So 3,300, they dropped him down to 3,000 in a game where they should be playing from behind, but a high-paced game, that could be a sneaky option. So Yurt 7, or however you say his last name, completely okay with him as a value option today. And I mean, in that game, you know exactly who to play, Luka, all the big names. Then we got New York versus Denver. New York's a very bad team. Not a very bad team, but they're not good. I don't know how you want me to phrase it. But Jokic here at 12,000. Looking at this, coming off not the best game here. Trying to see if he's played New York before this year. January 25th, only put up 48.25 at 11,300. Now he is 12,000, so that has bumped him up. We look, see if he played them at all outside of that one game. Does not appear so. I don't know if I want to pay it for Jokic today. If it's between him or Luka, it will really just depend on what the final Vegas odds show, what they look like, and if it looks like it could be a high-scoring affair. But again, you got Jokic at that price, but you can't go wrong with Brunson, Jamal Murray, Josh Hart, Porter Jr., DiVincenzo. I mean, you're looking at them. Precious, you're looking at 5,300. I don't mind him. Miles McBride, I mentioned this before. I mean, he's coming off 46 minutes. Well, see, I don't know if he's actually played 46 minutes because if you've been with us for a little bit, you know that the minutes have been a little weird for them. But he put up 37.75 fantasy points, almost 10 times value. That's the kind of play I'm talking about. But they have jumped his price up to 4,700, so that's a little bit. I don't love that. Especially with Jalen Brunson being in there. So McBride may be a tournament option, but that's it. Reggie Jackson, you can go down to 3,300. The minutes just aren't there. I mean, the minutes have been there. He really hasn't done much, but at 3,300, again, if this game gets out of hand and Denver, let's say Denver's up huge, and then he starts playing really well because he's getting that garbage time, we could see some points out of him at 3,300. So that's just another value option we could be looking at. And that's the breakdown of the 6 games. Now we're going to build a lineup on DraftKings using one of our tools. So if you go to FantasyTeamAdvisors.com, hover over the NBA tab, you look down, we've got Vegas odds, we've got sports betting, which we've been doing really well at, simulations, player trends, points allowed by position. We've got it all for you. And I'll just show you what our cheat sheet kind of looks like. This is yesterday's, but we've got, these are our cash plays here. These are our tournaments, our leverage plays, our DraftKings tiers, if you guys play DraftKings tiers, Fanduel and DraftKings lineups, those go there. A starting point, not end all be all. And then boomstick shots. Anytime we feel there's a good chance that player X, Y, and Z can score 7 times their value, we will be put in there. And so far this year, 55 correct calls. So very, very excited. And yeah. So let's get started. Let's try to build a lineup. Let's see. Now, again, this is a starting point. This is not the only way to build a lineup, and this is not necessarily a finished product. A lot depends on throughout the day if value opens up, and that's exactly what you need to be vigilant of. You need to look for value, and if you need to make any edits, updates to your lineup, this is how we'll do it. Okay, so we're going to use this tool. We are going to go through, again, not the only way to build a lineup, just one of the many tools that we have at FantasyTeamAdvisors.com. So we'll go through the list. So obviously some of these teams aren't playing tonight, and that's okay. So San Antonio, Phoenix, neither of those teams are playing in this game. So we go ahead and we go down to Washington. Washington gives, and we mentioned this, Washington gives up an average of 53.8 fantasy points to the opposing point guard. They are tied with Utah, giving up 53.8 as well. So in that instance, I want to look at point guards for both teams facing them. So I'm looking at point guard Sacramento, and I'm looking at, Utah, and I'm looking at point guard for Dallas. So that's Luka. That's Luka and De'Aaron Fox. So Luka has one of the best matchups on the slate for a point guard. This feels, let's see if he's played. Let's see if he's played Utah this year. Looking at him, would love to know if he has or not. Played him on the first, 50.5, not enough. Utah here. Played him on the 6th of 76.5. 76.5, dropped 40 points on him, a triple-double. I mean, he's had triple-doubles like 7 games in a row. So he's played him twice this year. Is that it? So he's played him twice this year. One put up 50, one put up 70. 70 we could mess with. He's in a great matchup. But again, putting him in there, we're going to have to find those value plays. So let's just, for instance, go into that, and we'll play that one right now. We'll go to the next, and we'll get you a lineup, see what we can do there. So that being said, shooting guard, Washington Wizards give up an average of 48.1, followed by Utah giving up an average of 46.9. So we are looking at Sacramento again. Malik Monk, like I mentioned earlier, was big into Chris Duarte, depending on the minutes. Yeah, those minutes are off. Hasn't really done much. So yeah, I'm going to go with Malik Monk here. And again, when you throw Luka in there, it will throw everything for a loop, because now we're at 5,100, so we do have to find those value plays. So we go to small forward, Washington, Utah, Toronto. Those are the 3 that are the worst, okay? So Washington would be Harrison Barnes again for Sacramento, or we're looking at Dallas, be Tim Hardaway Jr. at 4,200. So you can't really go wrong. Kind of just looking at this, I don't trust Duarte, and this would, both of these guys would be under. So let's just look at what Harrison Barnes has been doing. Not the biggest, and then Hardaway, not the biggest either. I still think I'm going to go with Harrison Barnes in this one. Again, this is a tournament lineup, not the only way to build. So we look at power forward. You got Utah as the worst yet again. As you can see, Utah's a very bad team when it comes to giving up fantasy points. So that's another Dallas player. PJ Washington, Maxi Kleber, Derek Jones Jr. Kleber's at 3,600. The minutes have been there, 20-plus minutes in these games. If they go up big, he could have a good game. Again, tournament lineup, I got little salary relief. I'm okay with that one. Putting him in there, we're now at 5,500. Now, again, you go with however you want to build this lineup. This is obviously yours. With power forward, you've got Washington as the worst, San Antonio second, Portland third. So, Sacramento yet again. Sabonis, or wait, was that power forward? Or that's center? No, that was center. So yeah, you look at center. Sabonis is in a good spot. I don't think we're going to be able to build a lineup like this. Yeah, we can't. So if you're going to pay up for Luka, we can't really go with Sabonis. So let's just, for this one, let's take Luka out, because I like Sabonis a little bit more. I think he just a little bit more value at that price. So we look at point guard. If you don't want to pay 93, you can do 9,300. Now we average for guard, forward, and utility, we are averaging 4,900. But there are those value picks that we talked about in the 3,000 range that made a little bit of sense in these games. If we come down here to them and find out which ones they were, that is where you can find a little bit of value. Let's go utility first so we can just get a feel of what we remember. So we come down here, going a little bit lower in the play, the Jonathan Isaac at 3,900, the Torrey Craig would open up if there is value there. Talon Horton Tucker at 3,700 against Dallas playing from behind. I don't mind him at 3,700. Now we're looking at right around 5,500 for a guard and a forward that we could look at. So kind of look at this, 5,500-ish. Malik Beasley. So Malik, like I said, if in fact Giannis is out again in this one, Malik Beasley would jump up to me. Jared Butler would jump up to me as well. I'm going to go with Jared Butler, 4,700. And now a forward, we got up to 6,300. So Amen Thompson and down is what we could look at. Keegan Murray in this game against Washington, the minutes for Murray, again, 82 minutes, ridiculous. Their minutes have been there for Keegan. I'm going to throw him in there. Now, this is a tournament lineup. Again, one way to do it, by the time you watch this video, by the time lineups lock, this might be changed a little bit. There's a lot of questionable tags that we are still waiting on that I'm not 100% sure if they're going to be in or out. So, tournament lineup, yes. Only lineup, absolutely not. Cash lineup, definitely not. You don't want Jared Butler in your cash lineup. You don't want Talon Horton Tucker in your cash lineup. You really don't want Maxi Kleber or Keegan Murray. There's certain plays that just don't make sense for cash, and those are some of them. So this is one way to build a lineup, not the only way. Definitely go check out FantasyTeamAdvisors.com. Check out everything we have to offer on the website. If it's not, depending on when you watch this video, we might have MLB content still ready to go before the lineups lock for the 6 a.m. Eastern South Korea game. So definitely, it's got a feel of the 2020 season with KBO and watching KBO and having DFS. We had DFS KBO for a little bit until MLB came back. So very excited. A lot of things going on this weekend. We do have we have NBA this weekend. We have PGA that's also starting today. So depending on when you watch this video, we got PGA content out there. And then we got NASCAR on Sunday. So that's what I've got in this video. Good luck. And as always, bring home some bacon. Peace.